Welcome back to the Belts Off podcast. Today we are continuing our brown belt discussion of what is a brown belt. We have covered white, blue, purple, leather, all the fun ones. Now, moving into what is a brown belt. What's the first thing you think of when somebody's a brown belt?
Oh, you're so close. You're doing it, man. You're so close, bro. Yep, next one's the big one. Yeah, that's the pot of gold at the end of that long rainbow, right? Yeah, you're close. That's the first thing I think of.
Sometimes it's been referred to as the junior black belt, the refining belt.
Never heard that in my life, and I don't even like the way it sounds because what the hell is that junior black belt? No, you're a brown belt. You're not a black belt.
Yeah.
I've referred to it as the tallest midget. If that's like mean to say, I apologize, but it's like, yeah, it's because it's like you're not a black belt yet, right? And that was your goal, but you're the closest you'll ever be to your goal, man. And that's huge. That's a good feeling, being that close to your goal.
I think the junior black belt came from a lot of, like the IBJF used to say, once you become a brown belt, you can open your own school, you can start teaching, you can start doing these things that black belts do, but you're not quite there. And I think that's where that came from.
I never even heard that till just now, bro. Silliness. Junior black belt.
Yeah. It brings me to feeling pressure, and then it brings me to exploring with pressure. So I feel this internal pressure, and for context, I'm a brown belt. I feel pressure being at that position, and then I feel like that's where I've been exploring my skill set with applying pressure and finding advantages and finding things out of that. So yeah, it's an interesting place to be with how you carry that pressure, right? And how do you present that on the mat at the same time being so close, right? Yeah. Having that feeling.
How long? When did you get your brown?
So it has been coming up on 1 year.
Coming up on 1 year?
Yeah.
See, that's how bad I am with time. I'd have been like 2.5, right? No, 1 year, crazy.
1 year. Yeah.
Crazy. And what do you feel different with them when you first got your brown belt?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay, because we got perspectives here, right? We've got it's in the future, right? We've got it's in the past,
Still
right?
that
Yeah. We got a brown belt's in my future. We've got a brown belt's in my past. We've got I've been a brown belt for about a year, and we got I just snagged my brown belt, right? It's a good group for the topic. Okay, so compared to when you first got it, 1 year. What's 1 year of a brown belt done for you, done to you?
So to expand upon what I'm saying of feeling pressure, upon getting my brown belt, I honestly leaned into your knowledge and your expertise because internally, I'll be honest, I felt very deficient. I said, okay, I'm not seeing things that coach is seeing or understanding, but I trust that he wouldn't put this on me unless he saw or understand something that I've yet to connect.
I think we all feel that way, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I felt that way at Blue, when he gave it to me.
For me, I felt like it really was extra poignant at brown belt over any other belt. It was like that was a big hurdle for me. I didn't feel it at purple. I didn't feel it at blue. I certainly felt it at brown.
Yeah, because that's right below black.
Yeah, man. What's next, bro?
Yeah, I mean, you're at the end of the road. You're looking at there's the finish. It's there. I mean, it might be miles ahead, but
and obviously we've referred to jiu-jitsu many times on this podcast as never ending, and it is. So I know that all this talk about a finish line might be like, hold on, you guys are contradicting yourselves. Jiu-jitsu doesn't ever end, okay? Right. But you still start your jiu-jitsu with a big goal to get to a black belt, right? It's like we ain't gonna stop. We keep going, right? You could do podcasts on what's to be expected of a first degree, second degree, third degree, right? You could, because it doesn't end. But let's be real, man. There's a very crystal clear defining goal that everybody has, and it's black belt. So that's why we're referring to it as a finish line and whatnot. But yeah.
For me, brown belt was actually a giant relief.
Getting it the day you got it, because you say was like it's in the past, but you are a brown belt.
Getting my brown belt was a giant relief. I had gone through so many injuries and so much adversity to at purple belt, and I was really trying to get a belt under you.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that.
And so when I started with you, I had just gotten my purple belt, and I got my purple belt and then went full time with you. Basically, is the way that it happened.
Right.
And then I had always wanted a belt from you just to solidify myself on the team and being under you, right? Because I respect you and I respect your lineage and everything that you do, and so there was that I really wanted, and then my body was just falling apart through my purple belt, and I'm like, no,
It's old age,
man, this is rough. And then things started clicking a little bit. And my knee even popped during the rolls when I got my brown belt. We did the gauntlet, and my knee popped
rolls.
again in 3 rounds in. And I was like, oh,
No stopping.
No. but it was a huge relief being able to have that and actually being able to say, yes, I'm officially under you. I'm ranked under you.
Got a belt.
Yeah, and I mean, personally, brown belt was my goal. Now moving forward, obviously black and that sort of thing.
I was gonna say you better have set a new goal.
But brown belt was that goal from white belt that I looked at as all right, you've basically made it at that point. If I can get to brown belt.
Where did you come to that conclusion, bro?
I felt like purple belt were savages, but brown
right.
belt intellectually were at another level.
But why not black?
Because that's dad. It's okay, that's great, but brown belt, I'll be that star kid or whatever that's going through. It's the black belt puts you on parallel terms with your coaches and stuff, and that just seems weird to me.
If you view it as that, I don't feel parallel to Megaton.
Right.
So
right.
No, I mean Megaton's.
It's different now, but as setting goals and stuff as white belt, I was all right, I definitely want to get to blue, definitely want to get to purple, but brown belt will be that pivotal moment for me, and that's how I always felt of getting to that brown belt.
This is cool. I don't get to do this with all my students and get in their brain, bro, because I don't know that. I don't know that about you. I did not know that till just now, and that could help me understand stuff about you. That's interesting, man. Okay, so you had put brown belt on a pedestal from day one, right? Which is so unique to me because I just don't hear that often. Mm-hmm. I hear either the next belt or the final, right? If you're a white belt, I'm thinking people tend to grind to the blue or have the ultimate black belt vision in their mind. But to have some middle range thing as a goal seems unique and interesting.
Once I got to brown belt, I feel like I can attack things a little more intellectually and start playing with the mindset, and I don't know, it's brown belt to me is an intellectual belt.
It's hard. I mean, you just got it though.
Yeah.
So you, I mean,
and I'm projecting the years of getting to this.
That's what I feel like you're doing. Right. You're kind of foreseeing what you think it's going to be because you don't know yet. Right. I mean, it's kind of cool to have the 1 year brown belt perspective as well, because he can kind of speak on that, what it actually is, and then I can speak on what it was, right? And you can speak on how it's how it's beginning, how has it been? I know you had the relief, right? Because there's a unique situation with coming onto the team. When you came on my team, you were a blue belt, right? Okay, you came on the team purple. So do you remember that feeling of I'd like to feel like I'm solidified on the team by being belted by the team, or did you feel solidified on the team already? How did you feel about that? Because I remember it helped you feel solidified on the team, being belted onto the team.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both, right? It's certainly the way I felt, and with my situation, which is a whole other story. Coming from other academies and coming in, I already felt like you had opened the door and was man, you're welcome.
Yeah. Right.
So you were on the team. Your blessing. I was on the team. Getting a belt, it just solidified that, hey, I'm. This is where I work. This is where I put in my hard, blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah. Okay, cool. It's official. But I already felt welcomed.
Okay.
I did feel welcome in that I was part of the team. Brown belt, again, to me was a different level. my
Yeah.
perspective, getting a brown belt from a coach is a huge sign off on the person itself, more so than if you're getting like a blue or purple. A brown belt, kind of like that. I know you didn't agree with the junior black belt thing, but
Right.
it's like, here's a potential person that's going to be moving up into a higher rank in the academy. If I look at a brown belt, I'm like, okay, that coach, his coach, like, respects him and is putting him in a admirable position. And to get a brown belt, I knew that it wasn't just going to be based on skill. It had to have been some sort of relationship also, because you don't just give a brown belt to somebody who you don't think is going to be a good representative of jiu-jitsu. Because I've had issues with brown belts in, when I first
Other
started.
gyms, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we were talking about that a little bit.
Right,
And my
right.
thought was, how did this guy get a brown belt if his character is this bad?
Because his jiu-jitsu was good. That's
Right.
why, bro. Because
Yeah.
because I'm not belting you on your character, dude. I'm really not. That's a very interesting topic, and I think I remember when you brought that up because we were talking about how he was not a good training partner
Yeah.
for you. You were brand new, okay? His etiquette was bad. He was doing basically checking all the boxes of bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, and he's a brown belt, right? And I remember when you brought that up, I thought that's almost a topic in itself, because I would make the argument that I don't care if he's a douche. I'm not belting you on that. I'm belting you on your jiu-jitsu. I'll give you hell about that. I've got guys on my team, that I give shit about etiquette stuff to all the time. But, I mean, I'm belting you solely on your jiu-jitsu. I would never be like, dude, I was going to give that guy the next belt because he's so good, but he didn't bow onto the mat or some silly he
He's
broke
a douchebag,
etiquette.
he's not getting it.
I'm sick of having to tell him to put his shoes on before he goes in the bathroom. He needs to remember that he's not a brown belt. It's what does the shoes in the bathroom got to do with a brown belt?
Let's
right?
extrapolate that a little bit. So if you are looking at giving a black belt to somebody who has aspirations of opening their own gym, yet they're terrible with kids and they're not respectful with the women,
Good luck with your gym there, buddy.
okay,
I mean, but to
you'd
your
still
point, I
black
think
belt them and let them.
Yeah,
because
black belt him, bro.
they're going to expose their character, and their character has nothing to do with skill set.
None.
If
Nothing
you're
at all.
measuring someone on skill set, then you need to say, okay, let me get past all this stuff, right?
Yeah, you would actually have to intentionally be like, I know I don't agree with him on anything there, but I'm gonna look that aside and just look at his jiu-jitsu. If you want to be unbiased,
Right.
and rank him. So that's what you got to do as a coach. I mean, I'm not gonna belt you on anything but your jiu-jitsu. I will also be so honest and real with you, dude.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll say what you just said, but I'd say it to them. I'd say, your jiu-jitsu is really good. You're terrible with kids. And you are not respectful to women.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to do good at a gym unless you can fix those things. But your jiu-jitsu, here's your belt, right? That's it, man. I'm not, I feel like that's a spot where jiu-jitsu instructors can sometimes overstep their bounds, It's like, you agree, you were going to belt me, and then you realized I was Republican. Now
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
belting you. Shut the fuck up, right? Keep it jiu-jitsu. Now, there's obviously certain things, where let's say a guy is doing that one etiquette thing where he's being a terrible training partner and beating you up or something. That could be a boundary to your next belt, because that shows me a lack of control, and a control over your weapon is a prerequisite to moving on. So if if the guy's being rough on his training partner, I ask him, I say, dude, are you doing that on purpose? In which case that would tell me you do have control over your weapon and you're an asshole. Okay, or are you doing that on accident? Which means you're a good guy, no control over your weapons. Okay, both of those are bad. Okay, and if it's the one where he's just being an asshole, then I'm gonna probably handle it gym enforcer style or something along those lines, right? But if he's good at jiu-jitsu, they're gonna get ranked strictly on that. Yeah, 100%. I do expect, though, brown belts to not make those etiquette mistakes, right?
Yeah.
That would annoy me. If that was my student that was doing all those things to you you were a new guy, he was a brown belt, I'd have been giving him hell.
Yeah.
I would have, vocally, in front of everybody. I've never had a problem doing that, right? And I bet you that gym you were at probably didn't have a black belt that was down to say, call people out in front of everybody and stuff, because sometimes that's what it takes. You don't have a lot of guys that do a lot of douchey stuff when they know coach doesn't, it got zero tolerance for that kind of stuff. And it equates to me getting embarrassed and feeling dumb because he calls me out or something, right? Yeah. You don't want that.
Right. Not at all.
But sticking with brown belt requirements, okay, you are so close to that pot of gold, right, that you are like downshifting, right? Like going from fourth gear so you can hammer it, right? Because, man, why would you not? You've been doing this race that's so long, and now you can see the finish line, man. If you're not willing to sprint a little bit harder, to go harder, right? Then I don't feel like you want it that bad, It's like it's sprint time, Like I look back on when I was a brown belt, what was I doing? I was driving really far. I was driving really far, bro. I was driving 15 hours to train. And I was doing it every month, and I was doing it for a couple weeks, and I would have my gym would have to get taken care of, cover classes by Brett, whatever. Like, you sacrifice whatever. Like, that's what brown belt was for me. It was my driving belt, bro. Yeah. It was my driving belt. I got a brown belt in driving because Megatons was so far.
It's like it's very symbolic almost, right? And now hearing that, it makes me feel a bit more solidified in like my journey. I'm reflecting now, looking back a year. It's like I felt an immense amount of pressure. I'm like, dang, he gave me my brown belt, and I have this feeling of I don't feel to that caliber. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what do? I'm either gonna lean into that feeling of deficiency and say like, okay, I'm just gonna slink through, or do I drive, right? Metaphorically speaking. Okay, so how can I catch as many fundamental classes as possible? Why? Because I've got this gap of deficiency that I need to bring my reality, which says I'm a brown belt, up to the reality of feeling efficient rather than deficient, right? And so that was the driving force for me. So it's like, okay, crunch time. Energetically, well, I only have so much energy, so I wish I could catch every class all day, but that's not reality. Like, okay, I gotta be strategic about this. What fundamental classes can I catch? Because I feel like for every fundamentals class I catch, just 1-2 moves, I'm able to retain, take with me, apply the very next session on an open mat, advanced class. There's that one technique. There it goes. It gave me the edge. It gave me the advantage. And I just start Lego building. It's like one block, another block. Now looking back a year later, I said initially I felt an immense amount of pressure. Mm-hmm. My peers see me in this light, and I'm not feeling that. Okay, so a year of I want to grind, head down, and it's just as much cardio as I can, as many classes as I can, fundamentals specifically, explore these concepts in open mat sparring simultaneously. How's my cardio? How's my strength? Can I work on those things? Oh, that gave me a little more room to explore. Okay, a year back, now I feel like I'm applying pressure. A year ago, getting my brown belt, I had an immense amount of pressure on me. Yeah. And so it's like this, I felt like, I've been experiencing this, like I got to get myself to these classes and start to obtain this knowledge to close that gap of reality. Right? And so, it's definitely been.
You feel like that weight's been lifted off your shoulders?
Yeah. There's still pressure. I'm representative of that step before. So it's like, for me, it was like I want to feel what my peers and my coach are telling me I am. Yeah. Right. Yeah. What do I got to do to get there? All right, there's my homework. Yeah. Right.
Definitely.
Imposter syndrome a little bit.
Certainly. First, right? Yeah. That's it too. Imposter syndrome to the fullest. It's interesting, right? These arenas, these areas, we get that feeling.
Yeah.
It's, you were saying the pot of gold is like right there, right? The next belt is so close. But it also feels like one of the furthest belts away. It's like
you might feel like you got big gaps.
Because there's it feels like there's so many things that I need to acquire and like fix before that
Yeah.
would be there.
That's good awareness, though.
It is. But I don't know that the imposter syndrome, I don't know if that ever really goes away. Like, you were talking about your black belt.
It will, bro.
And you were talking about your black belt. And when you got it, you're like,
Yeah.
you know, holy, like this is
I felt
actually
like
real
an
now.
imposter. I felt like an imposter, bro. Yeah.
And then, but oftentimes, you know, when you're looking at black belts, you're not looking at a black belt who just got their black belt. You're looking at a black belt who's been a black belt for 3, 4, 10 years.
A lot of time, yeah.
And if you're looking at a black belt that's been a black belt for 10 years and you're looking at that as the benchmark to get black belt, that's
brutal.
Yeah, that is brutal.
Yeah.
And that's what's so great about Esteem, though, is because when I look at the black belts, I'm like, that's a high level black. That's not just a black belt. Those people there are high level black belts. Because there's run of the mill black belts that are good, but
Right,
they're not
journeyman.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of journeyman black belts out there. And that's okay, man. I mean,
And
for
just
sure.
seeing the caliber of black belt that I need to be
Feels
at a
tough.
to be, you know, a black belt under you, or, you know,
feels tough.
it does feel tough.
Well, that kind of brings a good question, because I remember when we were doing the blue belt one or the purple belt, one of those two, you turned to Dylan and you said, "What do you think it'll take?" So this is a
And you
good time
laughed at
for
him.
me. Yeah, right. Well, because you told him something that you roasted him or something. But now I should do the same for you, all right? Because this is a brown belt one. So what do you think, bro? What's it gonna take? Because you just said you feel like there's a big gap from the black belts, all right? And you have to fill that gap. How do you do it, bro?
I actually feel like I'm on the right path. I just think it's going to take
By doing what? Describe the path that you're going to continue.
continuing to explore some insufficiencies and shoring up, not so much really going after what I'm good at, but like taking care of a lot of the problems that I
Your
may weaknesses that I may experience. So making sure that I can defend from certain positions and escape and get to better positions on just about anyone that's, you know, equally ranked or not as good. Making sure that I can do that. It's fun to spar.
How are you going to do that, bro? What's going to be the key?
Grinding. Keep classes, consistency, and then intellectually, right? I was saying at brown belt, it's time to be extremely efficient at everything. And having a game plan from most positions and having a game. I've spoke about this in the past, is that I've spread myself wide a lot of times rather than diving deep into individual pieces. And one of the things that was brutal was you were hitting side control Kimuras over and over and over and over on me. It was like, all right, that is an area I need to work on. And that was one of the areas at purple belt that I dove into, and I was like, all right, anything you were saying, you know, don't get button bottom side control. But I was also looking at ways to address it as they're moving to side control, as they're moving to certain positions. We talked about, you know, grading that frame and everything. Don't let them lock in. And then just places to go to from the bottom side control. My entire jiu-jitsu game, bottom side control has been an issue for me. I would almost rather somebody be mounted than be on side control with me. And so that was a hole that I needed to fix. And, you know, it's fixed on most people. It still could, I mean, everything can always use work. But
And the hole, and you do realize, though, that hole is not in bottom side control.
it's being put in bottom side control.
It's getting a guard pass.
Yeah, getting put there, which I've been working a lot on guard retention.
Because that's it. That one thing would fix your bottom side control problem.
Just not be there.
Working on guard retention.
But
Right.
yeah, refining and then being aware of what's happening. If my guard is getting passed, right, don't let them capitalize completely on a side control. Don't let them settle. Don't let them lock.
Right. Be hard to hold down.
Yeah, all those things. And then just making sure that if I do get put in a position, it's not necessarily a match-ending position if I do get put there. Like, if somebody gets the top side control, it doesn't mean they're going to submit me. It doesn't mean, even if they're pretty good, maybe I can defend enough to get a leg in, or I can get back to like a half guard.
Yeah.
Turtle goes back through. But yeah, just working on places that I don't feel complete or I feel like my knowledge base and my technique base isn't quite adequate.
Okay.
I
And
feel,
you're going to address that how is the question, right?
so
We're
some of the things, practice. It all comes back to practice, but practicing smarter, not
practicing smarter. That's always a good thing.
having a goal, having a mindset, do some research after. Watching videos when you're lower rank and stuff isn't usually optimal because you don't know what the position feels like and everything. But there are certain ways that certain people do things, and it might, kind of like what you were saying, it might be a grip change in fundamentals, right? It might be a slight grip change, and it changes everything. And just setting up and continuing through.
True story.
Yeah.
What about you, bro? Same question, because you got same journey.
I mean, for me, it's literally fundamentals. That's it. It's just how what I've put in my head might be different for somebody else, but what's been working for me is I test the waters in advanced sparring. And I have certain people that I could say, we're neck and neck. I could be the hammer one day, the next day I'm the nail, and it's always a back and forth with these particular individuals. And typically, you know, they're brown belts, we're right there, skill set wise. What I take away, if there's an exchange where, okay, they got the better, tomorrow I'm catching fundamentals. Now I take something away from that fundamentals. Then I go back and I touch base with them again, and I'm applying one additional thing that I didn't apply. And it often makes the difference. So then I leave saying, I leveled up one tiny little notch by taking that one fundamentals class, and where my mindset and my mentality of being on the mats is at, I'm able to absorb so much more than I used to.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I'm understanding some things that are unspoken. And so I feel like every time I get to that fundamentals, I'm really extracting something that becomes a game changer for the next time. So then I leave saying, okay, the more fundamentals I can catch, if I can catch 10 to 12 fundamentals class, that's 10 to 12 hours of additional information that I have over my opponent that I'm going back and forth with. And in a month, I theorize it's not going to be as much of a back and forth with them.
Right. The intellectual side of things, I really felt like it's, how do I say this? If you do your first jiu-jitsu competition, you go in there, it's a whirlwind, you have no idea what happened. After you've done a few of those, you can be like, you got me on that one. And I feel like your jiu-jitsu training over time becomes that too. You might be sparring in advanced, jiu-jitsu and really going back and forth and be like, man, I let my elbow slip out. And that was the downfall of everything. But you're able to understand and see that was the piece. Because so often, things happen to you, boom, you get put in this position, boom, you get put in this position, you just have no idea what happened earlier on. Mm-hmm. And I think the higher the level that I get, the more I can actually be aware of what caused the certain things. And sometimes you got to go, what the heck was that? But oftentimes I find myself being like, I did this. And I know what was wrong, and the next time I just need to fix that piece. Mm-hmm. And then making that part of my game and locking that in so that I don't do that again. Fixing those little things, the small pieces that change everything. I was talking to Derek yesterday, who's a blue belt, and we were talking about not letting something happen to you. So sure, you can, get yourself out of an arm bar once you're locked in and stuff, but if you control the hips, you stay parallel with somebody, you no longer have to worry about all those things because he can't create the angle. So if you're in his guard and he creates an angle on you, that leg's coming right over, you're going to be arm barred. But if you're able to control the position with just little adjustments, it's going to be much harder for them to isolate that elbow and extract that elbow if you're parallel with them, rather than if they're creating angles and working the wedge through. Mm-hmm. Little things like that you can just, the earlier on, not letting yourself go down that rabbit hole. If you can make one little adjustment that shuts down what they're trying to do, then trying to fight back from a locked out arm bar, changes everything.
That was kind of what I was getting at with your bottom side control problem. Exact same thing.
Just
the bottom side control is not where the answer lies.
Right.
Just realizing that, okay, they're trying to extract the elbow. Okay.
So for yours, just realizing they're trying to pass my guard, right? You got to take that and apply it to your problem, right? 100%.
And it becomes those little things that I've found that just, they save so much energy and they save so much work down the road if you can, you like you said, an ounce of preventative, right, beats pounds of medicine. Yeah. So just being aware of being like, all right, I know where this is going. Can I shut this down with a slight body position, or can I shut this down with changing my grip and working from a position of that? And I think that's the intellectual side of things that I've really been focused on.
Gotcha.
And then if there's something that I'm like, all right, I know the problem, researching, all right, here's the problem, how do I fix that? And
well, there's only one way to fix it, bro, and that's training.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's little things.
There's one way
that you can find.
You train.
Yeah, you can train.
Now, who you say you could train? Well, that's one option. You could train, but no, you don't have to. Yeah, you have to fucking train. You have to fucking train.
Well, there's a key element to that. Let me add to this. There's a key element that's sparking. That is, if I'm just going to, for our gym specifically, Esteem, right? If I'm only going to advanced sparring, sometimes coach is there, sometimes there's always a black belt on the mat. But that doesn't mean they're always necessarily working, right? They might be getting in their training. And so they might not be giving you the feedback. But if they give you some feedback, and this is where really I'll get more feedback if I go to that fundamentals. Right?
Yeah.
And to that point, now this is more specific where I'll say this is an important little bit of advancement because I'm grateful if I get the feedback in class. Awesome. I'll take it. And that tends to be that specific. Certainly, there's a better chance of getting it if you go to fundamentals because coach could see, hey, you need to be more on your side. It could be that 1/2 inch movement that makes the move work to not work, effective to not effective. And my habit is to not go all the way to my side, and he just called it out. I feel the difference of working and not working, and it was 1/2 inch. And it's a 1/2 inch. It's a habit that he now has pointed out because now he came around twice. He's like, you're doing it again.
Right.
Okay, now registering to myself, hey, there's a habit here you got to break.
And if we were just sparring, right? If that wasn't fundamental class, and you were making that mistake, I might not tell you, and you might, and like you said, I might be at the end of our roll being like, Nick, me and you, like trying to get my next roll, and not even trying to give feedback because this is training. We're sparring right now, man. So yeah, it's both, right? It's like
100%.
It's like you're coming to that advanced sparring class, right? And you're doing it, trying to apply what you learned where at the fundamental class and trying to take that.
Right.
But yeah, you're gonna you need both, right? 100%. Like if you don't have, I mean, and this is like such a vital part. And you know when I started the thing, I did the downshift, right? Go from 4th gear to 3rd gear.
That's it.
Okay, what does that symbolize when I say downshift? What does that symbolize? Training more or training less?
It's training more.
Training more, dude.
Yeah.
Sprinting is going harder, going
100%.
faster, doing more. Okay, so a good thing you can say is look at what you were doing when you were a brown belt or when you were a purple belt. Okay, double it. Right? And that's a no-brainer, dude. Because what's at the end of your purple belt, rainbow, or brown belt? Cool, that's awesome. It's still an in-between belt. That's an in-between belt. Do you think your coach puts as much importance and holds the same weight, right, as a black belt? No, it doesn't. Sorry, it never will. Okay? None of those in-between belts. That's why you call it a junior black belt and saying, like, that was my goal when I was young. It's like, why? Black belt is the goal, bro. Come on, right? Like, none of those in-between belts are the goal. So your coach, me, okay, I want to see sprint more, okay? I want to see you going after it, right? Whatever you trained to get your purple needs to be more, 100%, right? When I asked, What do you think it's going to take to get a brown belt? I was praying to God you'd say more training.
Yeah.
More training. Train more. Period. Do you want me to say more, coach? Because that's the answer. And I'd have been like, yes, he gets it. Honestly, bro.
Yeah.
Train more. How many times a week do you train? You need to double that. That's it. And what classes do you train? There better be comp classes in that list. There better be an open mat in that list. What brown belt gets to black belt? Never spar in that sparring class. Doesn't happen. You need to train. You need to downshift from fourth to third, punch it, and go. Okay? Because that's the equivalent of me driving 15 hours to Arizona when I was a brown belt. Why? Because there's a pot of gold, man, because the ultimate goal is in my sights, and he ain't going to give it to me for nothing. He better see me doing more than I did as a purple belt. Shit, as a purple belt, I only got out there every other month. That ain't going to be enough. Every month now. That's it, bro. You know, eventually, right, when a honeymoon ends or when whatever wears off of first getting the belt, whenever that, whatever you want to call that wears off, I better see a downshift, bro. I want to see a downshift, right? From all of my brown belt students. There's more of you watching this. I don't think they tell us or comment or like, you know, that they watch it. There's brown belts on my team watching this, and that's what I want to see from you guys. I want to see that clearly you know it ain't a purple belt that you're about to get. You know it ain't a brown belt you're about to get. It's a red bar, bro. A black belt with a red bar you're going to get next. Okay? If you think you're going to moonwalk to it, you're high. Okay? You're going to grind to it. You're going to take whatever you're going to take whatever you were doing and you're going to double it. If you want to do the bare minimum, you're going to double it. If you want to impress me, you're going to fucking triple it, dude. You're going to be like, this, what you've never seen from me, coach, you're seeing now. Okay? That's it. So I'll answer your question that I asked you. Train more. Same for Boss Man, train more. Now, everybody, you train a lot, though. I mean, like, it's true. He does. He trains a lot, morning and night. Like I got to give equal amount of hard time. Double it. Thank you. Thank you. If you really want to impress me, triple it, right? And you know who I feel bad for,
You got 8 hours
bro?
a day, right?
But yeah, I was just gonna mention that. I'm glad you said that because you know who I feel bad for? 9-to-5ers, bro.
Yeah.
That would suck to be like, man. Coach must not realize that I was maxed out training as much as I could as a brown belt or as a purple belt, and he wants me to somehow double it, right? I want you to find a way to increase it.
Now I'm feeling the pressure.
I do. You fucking better be. You better be, because you have the ideal dream life to train all the time.
Yeah.
You do. Dream life, bro. There's only one reason why I was able to drive at 15 hours, train all the time in Arizona, come back and impress him enough doing that to get a black belt. Because I had a dream life, bro. Who's got 2 thumbs and is blessed? This guy, all right? It's true. I literally owned a gym. That was my job. That's awesome. If you have a 9-to-5 and I'm telling you, Wednesday gauntlet for promotions, you better be there. You're like, I work. And I'm like, go beg somebody for time off, bro. You better go start begging the right guy for time off. Like, I didn't have to do that. If Megaton told me, you know, hey, Pan Am's training next Thursday, I'm there. Who do I got to beg for time off? Me. Please? Okay, let's go. Right? Like, that's your situation, bro. You got to beg you for time off. You're stoked. Like, me and you had that same dream life, bro, for training. Other people that love jiu-jitsu are so jealous of our life, Nick. Yeah. They're so jealous, bro. We're doing a podcast in a gym. We could literally shut this off and go roll right now if we want. You know what they're doing? They're on a union lunch break right now, like pissed.
After this, I'm pretty fired up.
Like, honestly, man, we have dream lives, man. And I tried to prove that to Megaton. I tried to prove that to him, you know, by saying, dude, what do you mean? How did I get here? I drove. That's how. Like 15 hours? Yeah, I don't care. Let's go. Let's train. You know, 2 days, 3 days while I'm there, whatever. Right? Like, if it wasn't crystal clear to that man and everybody else at his gym that I was downshifting, like, I don't know what else I could have done to show him. I was clearly downshifting, right? And I want all of my brown belts to downshift. And I've always seen it. I've never, you know, don't think I've ever done this particular rant before, right? Great podcast topic because you got it out of me. But I've seen everybody do this naturally because there's something natural to seeing a finish line, bro. Yeah. There is. Like maybe when you first get the belt and you're like, okay, got past that leg of the race, got a big one at the end here. I'm stoked, black belt coming up. But you do have a little bit of a chill motion. Like just got it, a couple months in. All right, it's like you're still rolling it out, getting ready to downshift, right? Okay, but I always see people eventually downshift and go, right? I mean, you see it a little bit before every belt. You know, you throw out the post about, okay, you know, promotion's coming up, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, bro. Nice to see you at training, right? You know, you do see that, right? So I think every belt consists of like, okay, people are going to kick it up a little bit, but the brown belt needs to be kicked it up years in advance. Not kicked it up, 3 months before promotions because I know they're coming up, but kicked it up 2 years ago. I kicked it up because I knew in 2 years or 3 years I was potentially there, right? That's how it's got to be. It's brown belt, man. It's a brown belt, dude. It's so huge. You're this close, bro.
I don't think we can say any more on that. With that, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.